Hello everyone, it's EzraTime again here. Welcome back to another movie review, and today we are going to review another John Woo movie called Bullet in the Head. Now this is might be the underrated one by John Woo because I feel like I said before, I think people always saw John Woo movie has a trilogy like A Better Tomorrow, The Killer, and Hard Boiled. All obviously star Cho Yun Fat. But Bullet in the Head is one of the genre movies that is actually super underrated. This was released before Hard Boiled, so um, it's not, it doesn't star Cho Yun Fat, and I think that's one of the reasons why people maybe didn't really want to watch it. But I decided to watch it, because like, well, I like the three movies, that he makes, so I thought that, well, I wanna check this out, because people said that it was underrated, and yeah, this is a really good movie, man. It's just unexpected, the amount of characters and storytelling for this movie, and I feel like it's really up there for the storytelling with The Killer, because it was devastating and emotional, and there is some similar elements to Better Tomorrow in some capacity, and the fact that they like some of the actors from A Better Tomorrow is actually coming back, like Waiselee, I think, is playing Paul in this one. And yeah, of course he was in Better Tomorrow, so you kind of know what his role is going to be in a way. Um, but this one is actually much more emotional, because Bullet in the Head basically tell a story of three best friends, so we know that Tony Leung was in Hard Boiled and he was amazing in that, but he works together with John Woo before Hard Boiled, which is in this movie, and safe to say that Tony Leung performance in this movie is fantastic. As a matter of fact, like everyone's performance in this movie is just amazing. Because um, they managed to really showcase the fact that these three were brothers. These three are best friends. Especially in the beginning of the movie, I like it that it starts with a bunch of montage with this trio that just basically hang out, like riding a bike, has some race in the docks, I think. And that is like they also fight some bad guys, but it's pretty clear that they have some issue with their life, obviously, because I think Hong Kong was actually in like a protest or something about like communism or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, because the movie took place in 1967, and I think it's also there is a Vietnam War, right? Which is on that time frame. So the story is basically these three guys went to the Vietnam War because they have to escape from from charges or like from a murder case, which they actually did. They actually did commit that, and that's where the Vietnam War really changes their life. Really changed one of their uh, friends, you could say that, and yeah, it's just like devastating to see like how everything ends, But regardless, I do think they do a great job, for portraying that these three are best friends. They are always there to help each other. And I think Tony Leung has the best performance, as Ben. But I feel like I gotta give it to Jackycheung as well as Frank, because I think Ben is actually getting married to this girl that he likes, but he doesn't have enough money to pay to basically pay off the wedding, so Frank decided to borrow some money from a loan shark, but eventually, like, there's a gang member that's like trying to take the money, and then Frank just like, just trying to desperately get away from them, and then so they can so he can deliver the money to his friends, obviously, so they can pay the wedding, and obviously he hurts himself in the process, and then eventually that leads to a murder happening, and eventually lead them to go to the Vietnam War because they have some possibly some chances there to make some money due to the war. And this is where we see some of the characters are actually changing. For example, Paul is getting more and more aggressive. Be tired for being controlled around. And then obviously he realized that whoever has the most money controls everything. And this is where they team up with a Simon Yam character, I think, named Luke, a CIA agent, you could say that, in the Vietnam War, and together they try to where they infiltrate this guy's mansion named Leon. This is where we first see the obviously the John Woo action sequences, which is like the shooting stuff with the gun. Because for the most part, like the first half of this movie is just basically setting up the character, setting up the premises, But I do think John Woo does a great job on that because like I was engaged throughout, you know, I wasn't get bored at all. And that's a really good thing, you know, because usually when you watch a John Woo movie, you are expecting a good action sequences, you know, and then obviously you get that. But obviously there is some slower moments with the characters, you know, because obviously you need to see their development. And I feel like Bullet in the Head does the character development so well done to the point that even the first half of the movie that doesn't have any much action, I was engaged. I want to know more about the characters, you know, and then eventually when we get to the mansion, that's where the action actually happens, you know, and it was amazing. And this is where we see the Paul's character is getting more aggressive, you know, because he saw this gold, and eventually throughout the entire movie, he started to cling with the gold even more, and he just cared for the gold more than his friends, you know, his brothers. You could say that, you know. So it's all about, you know, Ben, Frank, and Luke try to basically survive from the Vietnam War, you know, because they have to like get back to Hong Kong, you know. But obviously it was hard to get back to Hong Kong because there is a war going on. There is a bunch of army after them, you know. So obviously they need to be smart about their plans, you know. And once they almost get out, you know, but it was it was getting ruined by again by the army of the Vietnam, I think. And you know, this is where they got transferred into like a what is it, like a camp or something, you know, where they basically become a prisoner, you know. And obviously in this one, this scene right here just like it's really hard to watch, you know, because Frank's character is probably the most innocent among the all three, you know, because he's just the kind of guy that just want to do the right thing for his friends, you know. And then obviously he doesn't enjoy killing people, but when the moment that they get captured in the camp, the soldier or like the captain basically forcing Frank to kill a bunch of American soldier, you know. And obviously do it, then Frank will get, you know, will get killed by the Vietnam soldier, you know. So Frank has to do it, you know, and then he has to kill several more people. And I just love Jackie Cheung's acting so much, you know. And then mix that with Tony Leung's performance, you know. Obviously he was in pain seeing his best friend just like suffering from like actually killing people, you know, like in front of his face. So that's why he decided to like, I'm gonna do it myself, you know. And this is where we see the actually, you know, escaping, you know. And we also got treated into another big action sequence, you know, where the American army came to help, you know. And then there's a bunch of stuff exploding. There is a really cool shot, you know, where the characters is just like running away, and then in the background you see the camp just like exploding one by one. And it's like, yeah, you know, they are doing that for real, you know, because this is Hong Kong cinema. They are doing everything for real, you know. It's not CGI. So it's just amazing to see that real explosion in the background, and the actors are just like running away from it, you know. It's like, yeah, it's a cool shot. But this is where Paul is getting really pissed off, you know, with his character, you could say that. And then this is where he decided to shot Frank, you know, because Frank is injured and he won't shut up, obviously, because he was in pain. So Paul decided to, you know, basically put him out of the misery, or like try to kill him, in fact. But surprise, surprise, you know, even though he was shot in the head, Frank didn't die. And you know, eventually it leads to these moments, you know, later on in the story where I was actually surprised that the story actually took some time jump, you know, because obviously in the rescue mission, you know, obviously the characters are super injured, you know. But obviously after we see them again, it's a time jump because they are recovering, you know. Luke is recovering, Ben is recovering. But this is where we find out that Frank is actually not recovering because like the bullet is still in his head. So he's acting really crazy. So he's working as a mercenary, you know, and then he was addicted to heroin. And you know, this is where we see again another incredible performance by Jackie Cheung and Tony Leung. I cannot say that enough because this is like the best part of their performance, you know, because we see the two friends, you know, meeting each other again. But obviously Frank doesn't know who Ben was, you know. And then he actually tried to kill Ben in some ways. But Ben obviously, like, you know, he can't stand watching his friend just like suffering, you know, like addicted to heroin, and then like, you know, living this shit life, you know. Um, so he decided to put him out of the misery, you know, which is something that I did not expect, you know, because I was expecting to see Ben try to convince Frank, so like reminded Frank who he was and eventually Frank will come to his. Did not expect to see Ben just like make a tough decision to kill his best friends, Frank, and I think when he's trying to kill him, Frank realized that yeah, he wants to end his life because like he is suffering, so he decided to put the gun to the chest, because he was shot in the head before. That obviously didn't work, so Frank decided to put Ben's hand, along with the gun into the chest, into the heart basically, and then this is where Ben shot Frank, and then well, Frank was killed, finally, right? Which put him out of the misery, which is for the which is for the better, because he was suffering, but it's just something that I did not see that coming, and it was like super amazing. That it wasn't super amazing, but it's just like again the performance is amazing, but obviously the scene is like super sad, because these three are best friends, but because of the war, they all are changing, except for Ben and Frank, they're still best friends. But Paul is clearly an asshole, because like he abandoned his friends for the gold, because he just viewed the money as powers, which is he's not wrong, but these two are his friends, and then he doesn't care at all. So it's like, damn, dude, like, which is again kind of similar to his character from A Better Tomorrow, because he started off as a henchman, I think, and eventually he's like becoming this big boss, becoming the final boss. You could say that, the main antagonist, So that's why the role is like similar, but I can see why John Woo did that again, because I think waiselee does a great job, for being, from a good guy to a bad guy. I think he does a great job on that. So after this, Ben decided to go home to Hong Kong, and this is where he met his girl again, and then he found out that he actually has a child, and then he met his parents again, and it was a nice reunion between the family. It was nice to see that Ben and his girl is actually having a child. It was a nice moment, but eventually Ben decided to confront Paul, because Paul is actually becoming this big boss for like the Hong Kong tribes or something like that, and eventually Ben present him with like a Frank skull, and then this is where the last action sequences happen, where we see like a car chase between Ben and Paul, and which eventually lead to the docks, and I think the movie does a great job like having a flashback with their previous character, when they're actually still like best friends, in the dock where they has, between the past and the present. And I do think it's a great decision to do that, because it's like reminding you that how close these three were before like eventually they become this different person entirely. But eventually, Ben managed to kill Paul, and that's where the movie ends. So it's a really amazing storyline, and I think for the action standpoint, it's also great because it was John Woo. But I feel like this movie really stands out in the characters and the storytelling. Like that's the moment that I remember from watching the movie. Not exactly the action sequences, because like the action is fun, it's great, but the characters and the story is the highlight of this movie because they are great writing and great performances, by all the three, tonyleung, jackycheung, and waiselee. They all three did a great job portraying the characters, from best friends to eventually becoming enemy. It's just great, like when you finish watching this movie, it really felt that you are having an entire journey along with the characters, and that is the best feeling to have for watching a movie, that you are actually with the characters and then you actually felt the journey, and yeah, sure, like the Cho Yun Fat movie is all for action, and that's great. I love them, but I feel like Bullet in the Head's strongest point is the story and the characters, in my opinion. And if you came for the action, then yeah, it has some action, and obviously they're great, because they're John Woo. But again, the story is the one that really stand out, in my opinion. So yeah, I guess that's my review for Bullet in the Head, guys. You guys can let me know in the comment section below if you guys already watched this movie. What do you guys think about the movie? If you haven't watched Bullet in the Head, then I guess you guys can go ahead and watch it. Even though I already spoiled it, so I'm sorry for that. But it's just like I don't know, like I feel like when I'm reviewing on older movies now, I just plan to like did like a full-on story or like full-on spoiler review because it's just much easier to do that, so I apologize for that, I guess. But still, I mean, go watch it, because there is some stuff that I obviously did not reveal that much, like there is some detail that I haven't talked about, so you guys can go ahead and watch the movie for yourself. Because it's underrated. I think it's another great John Woo movie in my opinion, and I feel like people should watch that. So that's pretty much my review for Bullet in the Head, guys. And if you guys enjoy this review, then make sure you guys put a bullet in the subscribe button and the like button, of course. And of course, stay tuned for more videos in the future, guys. And again, I really hope you guys enjoy this video, and I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye.